you'll be able to harvest seeds from there. So that's not what we are doing. I still have some Roselle Hibiscus seeds, so we are just going to harvest everything for now. We are done with picking our Roselle. We have picked off everything that we think is good enough or is ripe enough, and we have left the small ones that we are going to be harvesting later, probably to make our tea. Roselle hibiscus, before we start, is staining, so you might want to wear gloves if you don't want your hands to be stained red. How do you know your Roselle hibiscus is ripe? Your Roselle hibiscus is ripe when the flower have fallen off. So when you see this flower part have fallen off and your calyx is beautifully red and it have swollen up, so that means it's nice and big. So this is your calyx, and when you check inside, here, you will see that this is your seed pod. Roselle is one of those fruits that are very easy to make jam from because their pectin is contained in the seed pod. So you wouldn't need to go and buy pectin from the shops or in another additive. All your pectin that will thicken your jam is in this seed pod. And you have to take note of this so that when you are separating your petals from your seed pod, you are not throwing your seed pods away because you will need them for your pectin. So now we are going to be separating our petals from our seed pods. The way to separate your petals, there are so many ways to separate your petals from your seed pod. So you take your calyx and then you cut here. You are cutting off this bottom part, okay, and then you can cut a slit here, okay, and then when you cut that slit, you are now going to separate your petals from your seed pod. Okay, so you see there's a clear cut. These are your petals that you are going to use to make your gem. This is your seed pod that you are going to use for your pectin. So that is the process that we are going to do until we are done. I don't know how many kgs these are or how many liters they are. All I know is that this is a lot of calyxes, so we are going to get good amount of gem from this petal. We are going to be at this for a while, so we are not going to bore you. We are just going to go straight in and separate. When we are done here, we are then going to wash it nicely. Most of the time, calyx is a place where bugs likes to hide. So even though this one is nice and clear, there are those that I have seen having mealybugs. So we are definitely going to wash it, rinse it off very, very well. And then when we are done with the process, we are then going to start with our gem making. And I am then going to bring you guys back. And then we are going to explain the process as we go. Stay with us. Okay guys, after a long while, what felt like eternity, we are done de-seeding. So these are all the seed pods we got. They are quite a lot, and these are all the calyxes that we got. So the first step is in making our gem is extracting the pectin, and the way how we do that is by boiling the seed pods, adding some water to it. We boil it until it's translucent, and then we know we are going to use the water that we are going to drain out of our seed pods in the gem. What's going on? Mama, gonna honey, let's cook together. Okay, we are going to eat porridge now. Let's cook together, okay? Kiss me. I love you. So we actually have a lot of seeds. I'm really hoping that they are going to fit in this pot, but if they don't fit, we are going to use a bigger pot. And doing this with one hand. Okay, they fit perfectly, so we will then be using that pot. So how do you determine the amount of water to add in your seed pots? You are supposed to add water until your seed pots have just gone under the water, and then you know that there is enough water to cook your jam. So let me get some water and come and put it. Okay, so let's pour in our water. Just for reference, this is a 6 liters pot. Okay, we need more.
This one.
So you can see this is just enough water to cover our calyxes, which is good enough, I would say. So now we are going to boil this until it's translucent. We are done with the first stage. You can clearly see that the water have thickened. If you can see, it has thickened very well, but also that our seeds, when you look at the seed pods, you can see the seeds that are inside, so that they are translucent. And the thicker the water, that's how you determine that the pectin have been released, and this is the pectin that will help you set your jam. So like I said, with Roselle Hibiscus, you really do not need to go and buy pectin from the shops. So this is the pectin that you're going to use to thicken your jam. And another pro tip, when you remove your calyxes or your petals from the seed pods, you know those seed pods are just enough to set your jam. So don't take some away or add some. Those are just enough for you to set your jam. So we are moving to the next round, which is now the cooking of our calyxes. So we are going to switch the pots, and we are then going to drain the water from our seed pots. We are not going to be using the seed pots, but we are going to drain this water into the pot with the petals to cook our jam. Oh, it's funny how much petals and calyxes we ended up getting off from those plants, because I honestly didn't expect much. I underestimated my little garden. So you might be wondering, so now what happens to these seed pods? These seed pods are done. You cannot add water in and hope that you can go get more pectin, because it won't work anymore. You cannot use it for seeds anymore, obviously, because you have cooked it, you have killed the seeds, and the seeds, most of them were immature anyways. But you can use them as compost. So from here we are going to make sure all the goody water that we need is out, and then we are going to compost these seeds. Then the earth will turn them into plants, new plants. Okay, so it's not as if they are going to waste. Composting is very important for our garden. So this is moving on to the next phase. So now that we are at this phase, we are then going to be cooking our petals. You see that I have more petals here. Unfortunately, I don't have a bigger pot, and I don't want to cook them into 2 pots. But as this is cooking, let me just reduce the
Temperature.
Yeah, the heat. As it is cooking, it's going to be going down. So I'm just going to be adding these petals until all of them can fit in one pot. So we are going to cook all this until they cook down and they are softer. And we don't cook them on high heat. Also come and stir occasionally, because you definitely don't want them to burn. If you cook them on high heat, they are probably going to burn, and really when it burns, it becomes very bitter and the taste is not nice. The smell is not nice. You don't want that for your Roselle hibiscus. Okay, here we are. Our petals are now broken down into a beautiful pulp, and you can see that it's nice and thick, and you know, all those petals are still visible, so it's nice and chunky. There are people who don't like Roselle Jam being chunky, so they end up blending it. And that's so if you don't like it chunky, when you are done, you can always blend it into a very smooth pulp. As for me, I love it chunky, so we are leaving it here. But let me not get ahead of myself. Now that we are here, it's time to add our sugar, right? Sugar plays a very important role in the setting and the preservation of our jam. The recommended ratio of sugar is 1:1, so we have to measure out the pulp, and then however many cups we have of pulp, that is the amount of sugar that it's recommended that you add. I tend to put just a little bit sugar or a little bit less sugar, because I don't want my jam to be really smooth. And this is the beauty of making your own jam at home, is that you don't necessarily need to end up with a very sweet sugar, and you are not really into sugary things, or sugar just makes your teeth so sensitive. But you must also realize that if you reduce or you distort from the 1:1 ratio, and you are hoping to store your jam long term, it's not going to store very well, and it's going to mold and ruin. So it's very important that somehow you don't deviate too much from the ratio of 1:1. It's also recommended that you use white sugar, because white sugar doesn't distort the color of your rosella or your Roselle hibiscus. As for me, so for me and my family, we use brown sugar, and that is why I'm going to add brown sugar. It's also because I don't care much whether this Roselle jam ends up more or deeper maroon than it is already. I don't mind the color change, but I love the benefits, all the molasses that comes with brown jam. I mean brown sugar. So we are going to be using brown sugar. Anyways, let's measure out our pulp, bring the sugar so that we can continue with the next process. We just take it from the fire for now. One. Oh, it smells so good. Two. Three. Oh no. Four. So I could say we have 4.5 cups of jam. That equals to 4.5 cups of sugar. I'll probably just do 3.5 of sugar. Honestly, I am not worried about this jam molding, because we are going to keep it in the fridge. We are also going to give out a lot to friends and family. We are not going to eat it all. So that generally means it's going to be consumed on a very short period of time. So I don't need to worry much about it molding. Papi, can you hold this for me, please? No, yeah, the cup, yes. If you can. Okay, come close to me. I know that's what you want. Cheeky rascal. Put it down. Put it down. So that's one. Okay, add two.
A lot of sugar.
It's a lot of sugar. Now you see that. Now you see why sugar jam is so sweet, because this is just my third cup, and I think I'll end at 3 cups. But we are supposed to put 4.5 cups of sugar if we wanted it to store very well. But yeah, so here we are. We are putting this back on the fire. I ended up just using 3 cups. My family is here also claiming that no, it's a lot of sugar, and true, it's a lot of sugar. So we are ending at 3 cups, and we are then just going to cook this to make sure that cooks in, reduce the heat further, and then just stir it in, make sure that it's very well cooked in, and our jam will be ready for jarring. So in the meantime, I'm going to prepare my jars and just make sure that they are sterilized, they are very clean, and we are going to put our jam into the jars. Yeah, so fam, we are back again with the 4th cup of sugar, because the jam is still bitter. It's not bitter but sour. It's very soury, but that's also because I don't know whether you knew that Roselle hibiscus is very rich in vitamin C. In fact, it has more vitamin C than tomato, and imagine tomato has more vitamin C than orange and lemon. So these have a lot of vitamin C. So if you want an immune booster, you better drink that Roselle hibiscus tea, because you can also use its leaves in your sauces, in your salads, and whatever. So it will deliver that dose of much needed vitamin C. So it's very funny, because while we were preparing to cook this jam, my husband then asks, when he heard I said we add sugar, and he's asking, he thought we are not going to add sugar. He thought jam is natural. So now I had the whole family taste this pulp without sugar. And everybody now understand why we are adding sugar to the jam. It's it's very sour, extremely sour. Believe me, if you wanted this Roselle hibiscus jam without sugar, you wouldn't be eating it, honestly, because it's going to be so sour for your palate. You wouldn't like it.
Just a little. That jam without sugar tastes like a lemon.
So yeah, now we are at 4 cups, and I'm pretty much sure this is where I'm ending, because we had 4.5 cups of pulp. So we are just ending at 4 cups of sugar. I'm sure after this, our palate will then be able to handle that tangy sour taste. It's going to be nicer rather than the tangy sour taste that you don't want to experience. This jam is another one of those dishes that are also versatile. If you wanted, you could make Roselle hibiscus jam with ginger. You can add lemongrass. You can add your orange, your lemon zest. But today we are making just pure Roselle hibiscus jam. So if you are having Roselle or mutete, as they call it in Namibia, if you are having it in your yard and you've never made this jam because you don't know how to do it, this is the basic and award-winning Gabriel Farmstead recipe. So now we are going to cook this until it comes to a rolling boil. When it comes to a rolling boil, our jam will be done for jarring. Our jam is at a rolling boil, and it even almost boiled over while I was sterilizing the jar. It's very delicious. Anyways, it's done at this point. So we are just left with jarring it, and we are then going to show you our beautiful, delicious Roselle Hibiscus jam. Very easy, very delicious, can be done at home. Not too much effort in making it. So, what is preventing you from making Roselle hibiscus? The plant is also very hardy. Apart from mealybugs that are invading mine, I really didn't get any more problems from it. So, I highly recommend um, that you grow Roselle and make Roselle hibiscus gem, aka mutete gem, aka Rosella gem. So you can see that it's having froth on top. As it's starting to rest and to cool down, you just come through and keep stirring it now and then. When you keep stirring it now and then, the froth is going to disappear, and what you'll be left with is your beautiful, beautiful gem. Okay, so as we are jarring our gem, we are going to make sure our containers are filled. Um, oof, I'm making such a mess. The same mess I was avoiding is what I'm making. It helps a lot when you are having something like a funnel to help you fill your jars, which I don't have because I'm not a canner. I hardly can. I'm very much new to canning. And I don't know whether I consider jarring gem as canning. Anyways, there are some principles of canning that I still need to follow. First of all, I cannot fill this jar all the way until the brim. I need to leave a little bit of headspace. And then I'm going to take my vinegar onto a cloth and then just wipe off every other excess gem. Let me put this here because it's hot. My hands are begging for relief. Okay, so you are just going to clean it off like that with cloth with vinegar. Also clean off the ring. And the reason why you want to do that is because if there is any gem that you leave here, it's going to interfere with the seal, and your gem is not going to last very long. You also want to get rid of air particles or bubbles. You can shake your jar like this to get rid of that, or you can take a knife and then just poke through. I'm not going to do that because I prefer the shaking method. Okay, when it's tight, I'm then going to turn it upside down. So you can see I still have a lot of gem left in my pot, but these are some of the jars that I am having. So I ended up with a lot of gem. So I'm going to give away all these few jars that are here. I'm giving them away. The reason why they said to turn upside down is apparently so that the air that was inside can seep out to create a vacuum inside. And then that vacuum is then going to make sure that no bacteria or mold are going to grow in there. And that preserves your gem for a long period of time. Like I said, I'm new to canning. In fact, the only other thing I've ever tried to can is water bath tomatoes. And that went okay. I can't say I'm an expert. As life would have it, my phone would actually go off in the middle of shooting. It have charged again, so we are done. We got a lot of gem, quite more than I expected. So we already gave away or gifted a 2 liters container We have a 5 liters that we are going to consume at home. Is this a 5 liters? Yes, we have 5 liters that we are going to keep at home. And then we have this four that we are also going to gift away. So to our loved ones, to our family. But anyways, I just wanted to show you some of the product that we ended up with. So this is it. You can see this is one of the jars. It's so deep and rich in color, but this is probably also because we used brown sugar. Like I said, I don't mind using brown sugar, so it's fine for me. You can also see, I don't know whether they can see the chunks that are in the bottle. Yeah, so the bottle is having those nice chunks. That's because, like I said, I didn't blend this gem. I don't mind it having some chunks because it just makes for a beautiful texture, which I like. Yeah, so thank you so much for following this video and for keeping up with our channel. If you are new here, please consider subscribing. There are so many ways I can make videos and whatever try to grow, but I really cannot grow the channel if you are not very free. Please encourage your friends and family to subscribe to. Give me suggestions on how you want me to shoot our videos. What kind of content do you really want to hear from me? Other than that, thank you so much. My name is Rebecca from the Gabriel Homestead, signing out. See you next time.